Don't you want to do a wheelie like that? I know I want to. Welcome folks to our new series, the ABC of Stunting, where this month we are going to teach you how to pop out. Stunting is a sport. Stunting is not hooliganism. It needs control, it needs balance, it needs skills. Like my friend here, Rishikesh Manke. Hi Rishi. He's the guy behind the Doom series of videos, and he's going to teach you how to do a wheelie step by step.
That's right, Shirish.
As with any form of biking, your attire is extremely important, and especially so for stunting. What you need is a proper leather riding suit, like what Rishi is wearing. It's got armor on the back, on the shoulders, on the elbow, proper riding gloves, boots, and of course, a very, very good helmet.
And I promise, Shirish, I won't keep any secrets. So first we'll go for the first tip, tire pressure.
All right?
We have to reduce the tire pressure.
The basics of a wheelie are obvious. You pull the clutch, keep the revs of the engine up to around 4000 RPM, cover the rear brake, pop the clutch while keeping the revs up, and balance the Pulsar on the back wheel. Let's repeat those steps.
But if it was that easy, anybody could do a wheelie. Here's how to fine-tune your wheelie game. That you need a lot of power to do a wheelie is a myth. The Pulsar has more than enough power. What you need is a well-timed yank on the handlebars, and you need good power in your shoulders. So obviously you have to time it right, sync it properly with the clutch and the throttle. But like what Rishi is demonstrating now, a well-timed yank on the handlebars, it makes your wheelie much easier, and also it saves your clutch. So not only does it improve your wheelie game, it also saves your machine. Once you have one wheel in the air, the next step is balance. And that's where the Pulsar has another trick up its sleeve.
Yes, the longer wheelbase of the Pulsar makes it naturally more stable. It is easy to control the bike when it is on the one wheel.
And of course, balance is the key. So when you have the wheel up in the air, you can't use the handlebars. What you need to use, like you told me, is your foot pegs. So if the bike is falling to the left, you use the opposite foot peg, which is the right foot peg, to bring it back on the center. And when the bike is falling to the other side, then again you use the opposite foot peg to bring it back. And that's how you keep the bike in the center. Now the front wheel is in the air. Where do you look?
Not at the sky. You look straight at where you want to go.
So now that you've got all the individual techniques, you need to bring it all together to do what every stunter practices and dreams of doing, pulling a wheelie down the length of the straight.
For that, bring the front wheel up, and then you can use all the RPM up to the red line to keep your front wheel of your Pulsar in the air.
And that's how you do a wheelie. Drop the rear tire pressure. Use the rear brake to control the height of the wheelie. Use the foot pegs to keep the bike on the center line and look where you want to go. And obviously, enjoy the sensations of The first step in mastering a stoppie is the basic stoppie, or as they call it, the stationary stoppie, where you yank the front brake and you lift the rear wheel. For that, you need to get up to what, 20-30 kilometers per hour?
No, 10 to 15 kilometers per hour.
So Rishi says 10 to 15 kilometers per hour, obviously first gear. So you start rolling and then what? Yank the brake.
No, first you have to pull the clutch and then you have to yank the brake.
Okay, so first you pull the clutch, then you yank the brake and you lift the rear wheel in the air.
Right.
And do you use anything with the rear brake on this?
No.
So no rear brake.
So that's the basic stoppie, where you just lift the rear wheel. Before we progress, here are a few tips. Like we did for the wheelie, for the stoppie too, the first tip is to reduce tire pressure. But this time, not on the rear wheel, but of the front wheel. You ride on the road, we use 2 fingers on the brake lever. But here, on a stoppie, because you're using the brakes heavily, you need to use solid pressure on the front brake. And for that, you need to use 3 fingers. So that's how you do the rolling stoppie. You get up to incremental speed. So try it at 30, 40, 50, 60. Get the feel of the bike, get the feel of how the rear wheel is in the air, how high you can get the rear wheel, and then obviously release pressure on the front brake so that you can carry the stoppie. Now, once you've got the hang of the rolling stoppie, what's next?
Next is endo.
So what does the endo mean?
Endo means like in the stoppie, you have to turn your bike left to right.
So basically, with the rear wheel in the air, you turn the bike around.
The endo looks difficult, and it is difficult. First is of course to master the rolling stoppie. So you start the stoppie, and at around 60 kilometers per hour, once the rear wheel is in the air, you release pressure ever so slightly to carry the stoppie and While at it, use your hips to rotate the bike. You can do this with a 90-degree rotation or then progress to 180 degrees, which is what the experts do. And by the time you're done, you should be facing the direction where you came from. Before we end, here are some common mistakes you should avoid.
The first is body weight transfer. Now, if you don't shift your body weight to the front, what happens?
Front will get locked and get slide also.
So basically, if there's not enough pressure on the front wheel, the front will lock, it'll slide, and you won't have enough traction at the front to get enough grip to bring the rear wheel in the air. Now, the second is vision. So like in wheelie, you told us that you need to look in a straight line. Now, Stoppie, where do you look?
You have to look straight only.
So if you don't look straight, if you look down, what happens?
You will fall, you will get topple on it.
Well, he's not sugarcoating it. And the third way that you could fall, you could damage a bike, is if the rear wheel comes too high up in the air and then the bike falls on top of you. So how do you control that?
You have to release the front brake pressure.
And that's how you do a stoppie. You start with the basic stoppie, move on to the rolling stoppie, and end with the endo. Now, obviously, you need to do this in a safe, controlled environment. Do not stunt on a public road. The public road is not a place for practicing your stunts. Do it in an environment like a leather riding suit, boots, gloves, a good helmet. You need to be safe.